That is prime
Oh,
time
opening up
tomorrow.
the night session. Yep.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York, under the lights. Karolina Muchova versus two-time U.S. Open champ Naomi Osaka. How do you feel that going, Clinton?
I think this one will be more challenging for her than it was against Ostapenko. Just because Muchova plays with a bit more. Actually, sorry, let me correct that. I don't want to sound like Chris Everett. Mukova sounds more. I mean, she has more variety in her game,
Mm-hmm.
which can certainly trouble Naomi. In particularly like slicing and coming into the net. Those have been traits or game styles that have troubled Naomi in the past. But
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. Open court is playing pretty fast, which is like to Naomi's liking. She's won
Mm-hmm.
this tournament twice, so I see Naomi possibly. I can see her taking it, but I don't think it will be as easy as it was in the first set. Maybe 3 sets or 2 tight sets where it's like 7-5, 6-4, or the inverse of that.
They have an interesting head-to-head, but I would venture to say it's kind of irrelevant because they're both different players. They played for the first time on tour back in 2020, ironically in New York, but the tournament was in was
Cincinnati or
Cincinnati. It was in
Western and
the
Southern.
Western and Southern. It was in the bubble, and Osaka won that after dropping the first set 6-7, 6-4, 6-2, and then they played again in Madrid, which is where Mukova you would say is definitely the favorite, but that still went 3 sets. Mukova beat Osaka 6-4, 3-6, 6-1. They haven't played a completed match since then. They were set to play in Miami of 2022, but Mukova gave Osaka a walkover, so they didn't take the court. I'm interested how that match up dynamic plays. I may go back and try to find some clips on YouTube of those two matches because I can totally see all day, every day how Mukova's game could get under Osaka's skin. But there's something to be said that Mukova isn't at like full pelt, like
That's true.
she hasn't really been playing with the same kind of swagger that saw her get to the French Open last year, or the French Open final last year, and the US Open semi. So she's defending quite a bit of points here. But if Osaka is attacking the ball and having a good service day and like limiting unforced errors like she was against Ostapenko, she's also going to make herself very tough to beat. She made a very interesting comment in her press conference after her first round win. I think she was talking to the Japanese press and she was trying to describe herself as not an aggressive player, but then she stopped and she was like, well, no, I am an aggressive player. I just try not to stand on the baseline and just smack everything for a winner, which was basically, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was kind of her words. If she keeps that mindset and doesn't try to just outright blast Mukova off the court and is able to balance, unforced errors that, they're going to come, but if she can limit them, I like her chances, especially if she knows that she has to go out on court and wear a different dress. This is going to be a nighttime match. And she did say that was kind of an
A
incentive to play.
motivation.
Yeah, a motivating factor. She was like, I can't lose because I want to show everybody the other color of my dress. So apparently there's a second show stopping dress and hopefully better tennis to come from Miss Naomi Osaka because that first round match she was sharp. She really was sharp.
Yeah, it's just the black thing we saw in the New York Times.
I didn't really
So
pay too much attention to that. Okay, well
yeah,
I'll have my eye on it.
but yeah, I'm just glad to see Naomi back. I'm glad to see that she's excited about the game again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you touched on a really good part of her game that I feel like had improved during her Grand Slam tenure, which was the fact that she was building points really well. Because I think around the time that she won Indian Wells, she was more likely to go for broke pretty early and pull the trigger in shots. But when she started working with Sasha, not only did her movement get better, but she was also able to build points more efficiently. And so she waited for her opportunities, and she also created opportunities for her to be able to hit finishing shots more easily. And we saw that all up and through the 2021 2021 Australian Open, which is her last slam. And we haven't really been seeing that executed the best so far in her comeback, but at least she's getting back to that mindset.
If you were in the mind frame of like, what does Muchova have to do to win this match? What would you think she'd have to do best or do well?
I would still move Osaka side to side. I would try to chip and charge, honestly, because Naomi hits hard, but she still has to be able to move well in order to hit passing shots. And I think Muchova, hits it's hard because I see Chris Everett's face on her face as well. And so it just reminds me of how Chris Everett says her name.
How does Chris Everett say her name?
She says Muchova. Like, she doesn't pronounce the C at all.
I think there's a lane in the world where that's how you say it. I'm not sure. I've heard Muchova, Muchova. I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I try to align myself with however Pam Shriver says it, because she at least tries. Chris Everett does not. But yeah, I think Karolina needs to just she needs to try to come into the net as much as she can and try to force the issue with Naomi. She needs to make her uncomfortable.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many women really attack the net and make Osaka have to come up with passing shots. Caroline Garcia tried to do that in two of their matches earlier in the season, and Osaka didn't come out victorious in one of those. So
yeah, surprisingly, Shea Sue would bring Naomi into the net and then hit a passing shot of some sort.
But I don't know if everybody has that, and I think you have to be of a certain confidence level on the court, which I know Muchova made the 250 final in Palermo right before the Olympics, but that's been the best part of her season so far. Besides then, it's been a little touch and go coming back from injury, which I guess is to be expected, but I'm not sure if we're going to get an absolute like thriller or corker of a match, but I am interested to see if they can both play somewhere close to their best at the same time, because I do think that would be fun, especially under the lights in New York, for sure.
Agreed.